Okay. So, yeah, if everyone's mobiles could be on silent, that will be useful. So we'll start with, as usual, with posture and motivation. So that really sets the tone for the session, for this investigation together. It's something we're doing together. And in our tradition, Mahayana Buddhist tradition, we say there are three excellent things, three excellences. One is the excellent beginning, which involves the motivation, so that we make sure that our intention for being here is uh, is a worthy one. So we'll mention that a little bit. It will be revision for most of you, but that's okay. It is useful to hear good things again and again. Um, and then the second excellence is to have the actual session, which will involve investigating our topic, which is the causes of happiness and uh, the difficulties involved with arrogance and habitual patterns. And the third excellence will also highly important is something we'll do at the end, which is dedicating. So whatever we do, something worthwhile, we then make sure that energy is not wasted. We dedicate it towards a worthy goal. Yeah. So you could say this makes something sealed, as it were, properly. It starts well. The session is engaged in with sincerity and some effort, and then it is sealed at the end with very positive motivation. So this is good, you see. This is something very, yeah, it's commonsensical in a sense, but we often forget these kind of things. Yeah. So we'll start with the posture. It helps to be upright and to remember the significance of that physiologically as well as psychologically. Psychologically, we remember that although there are many, many difficulties and really problematic circumstances in our life, many sufferings, you might say, as Lord Buddha mentioned, still, because we have an innate quality of goodness, a potential to develop, a potential to raise our awareness, a potential to unlock, activate what we call Tathagat Garb, Buddha nature. Because of that, we can be confident. We can be very confident. So a confident person sits upright. You know, we don't need to slouch. We don't need to bend down as though we're defeated by life or by circumstances. Uh, yeah. So we can afford to be upright, confident posture. In this posture, the front of the body will naturally be exposed, be open. So this is also highly important. You see, together with the confidence, there's that sense of connecting with other people, connecting with beings, connecting with the world. We're not going to hide. The front of the body is exposed, the heart is exposed. This is so important, so important. You know, beings, ourselves and others want happiness, don't want to suffer. We need kindness, yeah, the attention of others. We need this. We need to be cared for. We need to, be guided. Beings need that. So therefore, we are prepared. We are confident. We are going to help others. We're going to work with others. Not in a way that, what shall I say, makes them feel small, that we are so good, we are helping you. Not like that. But in a very natural and kind and efficient way, we try to be of benefit to the world. So the front of the body is open. We can afford to be open. No need to hide. If we had no good qualities or were somehow destined to be useless or simply machines that eat and sleep and procreate, then of course that's another matter. But we are much more than that. We are not just machines. We are not just, our potential is not just to eat and sleep and procreate. We have this extraordinary ability to wake up completely out of our ignorance and completely let go of any limiting factors, limited compassion, limited love, limited wisdom. All of this we can cast aside, or we can outgrow and develop limitless qualities, what we might call limitless, because of the power of the mind. That's why. The potential of the mind, which Lord Buddha taught, is extraordinary. Yeah. So the posture is reflecting this.
Yashji, is it possible to turn down the fan a bit? Thank you.
So that is the posture, and the motivation will therefore be that, given my potential, given the circumstances of being a human being who is still alive, I can offer so much to the world, so much to myself, so much to the world. I must do this. Who else will do it? I must do this. I can do it. So therefore, since others need help, need guidance, wish to be happy and not to suffer, and crucially, others help me so much. I'm nowhere without other people. Really, we have to understand this. We might think we are so great or somehow self-made people. Nobody is self-made completely. We depend on others. We didn't make ourselves, in the womb. Our parents made us, at least the bodily basis, which gave our consciousness a place to reside, coming from the previous life. And then, since then, who has been looking after us? Who has been caring for us? Everybody, so many, countless people helping us with everything: food, clothing, roads, transport, houses. These don't come about, they don't just emerge out of nothing. Everything we see with our eyes, virtually everything we use, everything we eat, everything comes through the effort of other people. Everything. So in this tradition, we regard them as most kind, most dear, most precious. Of course, they behave in strange ways. We all do, because of the power of the unwholesome emotions in the unawakened mind. Of course, we're going to behave sometimes like lunatics. Most unwholesome way, of course. But we don't use that as a reason to give up on other people. Their behavior is a result of causes and conditions. We realize that right now, most people are the slaves of their minds, of their unruly minds, and of many causes and conditions and habitual patterns. But we also know that we can rise above that, and that we are not just that. So we remember the kindness. We don't just focus on people's mistakes or what we perceive to be their unwholesomeness. That's a useless occupation, just doing that. That's never ending. We can always find faults with others. and with everything. We can find fault with everything. But here, we're going to be brave and courageous and see what we can achieve, what we can do to alleviate the suffering of others who are so kind. So please reflect on these words. For some people might be a little bit new, some of it. For the seasoned students, practitioners, we can again reflect on this. It's so important. And develop a very powerful motivation that whatever happens, whatever arises, I'm going to do my best for others who are so kind and who are suffering. I'm going to be like a guide for them. To do that, I have to develop my own mind. So therefore, I'm definitely going to practice, develop very noble qualities of the Bodhisattva, and attain full awakening so that I can best help others. So spend some time now, please, reflecting on the motivation. And one could add that just as the great Indian Pandit and Bodhisattva Shantideva observed, it's so sad, isn't it, when we see people, beings who want to be happy, acting as though happiness were their enemy, meaning acting in ways that only increase misery, sorrow, frustration. Doing this through ignorance, ignorantly creating causes for suffering. Whereas we all wish for the opposite. We wish for joy, happiness. So it is so sad. It makes one very weary and sad. But that's a good kind of sadness because it can prompt us to reflect on how we might help others. And how we might dissolve anything that acts as a barrier between ourselves and others. The main barrier actually being what we're calling habitual patterns and arrogance, grasping at oneself as being so important, grasping at a really solid sense of I, of me, mine, automatically doing that. Hmm. Okay, so in order to be of any benefit to others, we first have to have some control over our very unruly monkey minds, which are jumping here and there, again, due to many causes and conditions, and due to the fact that we have not engaged in any significant training of the mind. It's not something we are taught in ordinary education. So here we'll start with a silent practice where we will utilize the breath, the breathing, natural breathing. We'll be aware of the sensation of breath as we breathe in and out, the sensation of it as it enters and leaves our nostrils. So there is a sensation there. You might want to take a few deep breaths first to locate that sensation at the tip of the nostrils, between upper lip and nostrils. Once you've located that, that is where we will place the attention, but in a relaxed way, not in a tight way. Stillness in the body, relaxation in the mind, and being alert, vigilant. These are three qualities we need: stillness, relaxation, but also attentiveness, alertness. So that when the mind gets distracted by a thought, memory, as it will do, or image, we recognize, again with calm mind, we recognize, and then let it go. We don't follow that thought or image, which can be very powerful and persuasive, but we train to let it go. And what do? We come back to the breathing. Bring the attention back to the breath at the tip of the nostrils. So this is what we'll do for a little while. Don't worry if the mind keeps on getting distracted. That is what the mind does at this stage. Simply be aware, notice, let go, come back to the breath. So you're training a young child or a young animal very patiently and calmly, not getting impatient or frustrated. Using the out breath as a sense of letting go, relaxing. if the thoughts become like a tsunami or like a torrent or waterfall of thoughts or emotions, then it can be helpful to regard, to feel that the mind is like a vast open sky, spacious sky. And the thoughts and everything are just clouds. They're just clouds coming and going in the vast sky of the mind. Or if you prefer, it can also be seen like, mind is like a vast mirror, and everything is just like reflections in the mirror, coming and going, coming and going. Nothing staying still, nothing to be taken so seriously. The clouds just coming and going in the sky, images flickering across the screen of the mind, like the mirror of the mind. Nothing to get involved with, nothing to believe in, if you like. We don't have to believe everything that is happening. It's coming and going. Cannot harm the natural peace of the relaxed mind. You need to stretch for a moment. Please do that. Actually, already, I think, with this sort of very simple but important practice, we can get an idea, perhaps, why and how we create so much pain for ourselves. Meaning, whatever pops up in the mind, we somehow rush after it. We take it somehow as real, meaning a sad thought, unhappy memory, some expectation of what we want in the future, which is tinged, of course, with even sometimes some excitement, but also with some anxiety, will I get this? will this happen for me? You know, this thing that I want, whatever it is, will it happen? Can it happen? Maybe it won't, maybe it will. So the mind is so caught up in this way, so much internal traffic, you could say, traffic jam of thought, hope, fear, expectation. And we somehow get colored by that. We believe it. So here in this kind of practice, we are attempting to relate more to the natural peace of the mind. One of our founder, Lama Yeshe, he used to speak of mind as like an ocean. He said you should make your mind like an ocean, vast ocean. So you see, there's that vastness. The waves on the surface, they are there, of course. They can be whipped up by wind and so forth. But there can be storms even on the ocean, in the ocean. But that is not affecting the whole ocean right down to its depths. It's a very superficial level that the ocean is affected. Deep down, it's calm. Similarly with the mind, there's a very calm state that we can access. This is not fantasy. This is not some, wonderful thought which is impossible to actualize. No, if we slow down and actually pay attention to our breath and just relax, then we can activate something different. We can get a glimpse, at least, of another level of awareness. But our problem is we're very uptight, which is a very important word, I think, modern word, uptight. I don't think they would have used it. I don't think Shakespeare used uptight. But anyway, uptight means we are coiled up. It's like there's this tension within us. Everything is related to as either somehow pleasant or unpleasant, and we then react to it, almost like friend or enemy. It's as though we're a very nervous, jumpy kind of guard, chokidar, we say here, guard, who, any movement they get, stressed out. They become very, very alert and, in sort of action mode, as though we were a sentry or a soldier in enemy territory. See, which is a very uncomfortable situation. Or we feel like we are a very impoverished kind of person in a vast mall or store, looking for something to buy, to reduce our sense of emptiness inside, our sense of hollowness or impoverishment. We're like that. So here, when we activate this more calm, spacious level of mind, we realize, or we can begin to realize, we don't have to be so busy pushing things away and then trying to grab other things, which is our normal way of relating. We push away threats and we want to greedily gobble up what might be nice for us, whatever it is. We can even gobble up spirituality in that way, thinking it'll very quickly make me feel better. So this is something we need to, I think, reflect on. As I keep on quoting, or have done recently, it's very useful to again and again read some of the teachings of different lamas. And the last page of Mingyur Rinpoche's book, In Love with the World, has that section where he says, everything we need is present right now, in this present moment. We don't need to be rushing anywhere, buying anything, planning anything. Everything we need is right here in this present moment. Meaning, this calm, clear, very spacious state of mind is available to us right now. And We don't need anything more than that. Of course, we'll need to get up at some point and go and eat and sleep. But the point is, we don't need to be so busy pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling, pushing away threats, trying to get what we want, being unhappy when we don't get what we want. I need that so much. I haven't got it. And then we become depressed or unhappy. So this sense of being, a sense of contentment, if you like, which is very difficult, I know, very difficult, because the mind is on the move, right? The mind is on the move. The senses are on the move. If we're awake, if we're using our eyes and ears, our tongue, our body, it's all on the move, meaning it's going out to locate its respective objects. Sights, sound, smell, taste, and touch. This is very basic, but very important. So long as we're constantly going after these things, how can there be peace? How can there be happiness? How can there be any kind of calm, serene contentment? It's not possible. This is so simple, but also so difficult. So this is not deep philosophy, but it's very important, very basic and important. So that's just a few words on the practice and how it's so important. Even a few minutes can help slow down, or even, slow down this this cascade of thinking, which is actually exhausting as well. It's exhausting to be thinking all the time, really. It's like overusing anything, a car or a mixie in your kitchen. It's gonna steam, it's gonna give up. It's going to get old very quickly. It's going to get stressed. So, this is basic, but I hope useful. Why is so what are these constituents, what are these factors in the mind which are constantly making a big deal of things? We speak of ignorance. That's a very basic factor which will require a lot of investigation. Let's first look at some of the branches of the tree. If we take the roots and the main trunk of the tree as the main sort of ignorance, what are the branches? Let's look at the branches first, the branches of attachment and the branch of anger, just briefly. And then we begin to see why these are problematic and why we need to work with these factors in order to reduce suffering and increase the causes of happiness. And of course, because anger and attachment and ignorance are habitual patterns which have been built up beginningless lifetimes, we need to look at it in the context of the other part of our investigation. Habitual patterns, arrogance, meaning the strong sense of me. So what is attachment? What is attachment? There are some people here I could ask that question for the definition. I don't know if they have remembered it. There's some people online who I've quizzed in the past. I don't want to be cruel, but maybe I do want some interaction now. So I'm going to allow people to unmute themselves. I don't want to pick anybody, but does anyone want to venture a simple but accurate, useful definition of attachment, desirous attachment, which will give us an idea of why it is problematic, why it is an obstacle to happiness? Anybody? I know several of you can do it. Yeah, people in the north, whether they're in Bir or whether they're in Kochi, there are some people here who can probably answered this question. Delhi walas ka pata nahi. We can't answer. We are living in bad air. How can we answer? Can't even breathe properly in Delhi. But in Bir and Kochi and wherever else people are, Mexico and Latvia, I think you have better air, so you can think. And I'm joking.
Kabirji,
Ah,
the uh, the pattern of clinging or grasping to things or emotions,
yeah,
thinking that they're real and everlasting and permanent.
that's connected with it, but I wouldn't call that the definition of attachment. That is a process you've described, Navinji, which I think is perfectly good. But I just want a simple working definition of what attachment is, which I think describes very nicely, usefully, why it is problematic. But yeah, of course, clinging, taking things as real, over investing in them, taking them to be permanent, taking them to be, with a self, all of this. That, of course. But I'm wondering whether you can remember, anyone can remember the working definition. Nandita ji, are you there? I don't want to put you on the spot. You just arrived in Kolkata, I know.
Yes, yes, Kabir ji.
Any idea?
I'm there. I cannot remember the exact definition, Kabir ji, but
Boliye.
attachment it's about giving what should I say, more importance to a thing than actually the
Yeah.
thing holds.
That's true. That's a very good part of that definition. Yeah. So you're suggesting it involves a kind of exaggeration, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are we exaggerating where attachment is concerned? What are we
The
exaggerating?
need for or the good qualities of a object or a person or
Exactly. Good. So that's one part of the definition, which is very important, a very critical part of it. The first few words of it are also important because if you remember, some of you, we are saying attachment is a mistaken mind or consciousness that exaggerates the attractive or nice, likable qualities of an object or person or whatever. And then thinking it's going to, what do we hope we will get from this object? Whatever it is. Anyone? What do we hope we'll get from an object of attachment?
Happiness.
Happiness, fulfillment, pleasure, joti. And then so therefore, then we really try to get that somehow. We try to get it, whatever it is. Whether it's in my case, gajar halwa, whether in Nandita's case, it's oranges, and other people. But we want to get that, and of course, oranges are maybe healthier than gajar halwa, so there are mitigating circumstances. But attachment is attachment. It's that power in the mind. It's that energy in the mind that wants something. It's exaggerated, the importance of that thing. And when that happens, of course, when we don't get it, say, then we feel deflated and upset or even angry. Okay, what's the definition of anger? Very, very, very similar to this one. Just have to...
Kabirji,
Haji.
anger is a state of mind which
what kind of state of mind? Sorry,
is a negative state of mind.
Negative.
Non-wholesome state of mind.
Mistaken
state of mind, which exaggerates the negative qualities of an object such that
negative. Can you use another word also? Because negative, unlikable, something
unlikable qualities of the mind, such that it wants to push away the object.
And in extreme cases, even whatever, exterminate. Yeah.
Amen.
Good,
Yeah.
good. So anger, aversion is a mistaken, and we are calling it mistaken for a very important reason, because it is actually, you can look at it different levels. It's mistaken because it's exaggerating. It's mistaken because it's taking things to be permanent, which are impermanent, and it's taking things that have no intrinsic inherent reality, yeah, no independent reality, taking them to actually have an independent kind of status that doesn't require, the labeling consciousness, that forgets that there are causes and conditions and paths. So investing things with an inherent intrinsic nature or quality, which makes them seem so solid, that would be the mistaken thing. And of course, that mistake makes us exaggerate. Good. So we exaggerate, and you can see it all around. We should look at examples in our own life and in political life, in the international situation. Things are exaggerated depending on which side you're on. You exaggerate, and then can attack you can be against a particular side or person because you've exaggerated something, you haven't taken the whole picture into consideration. Or you can be, they can be on your side, your party. So there are, you feel you exaggerate the good qualities of one side and exaggerate the bad qualities of the other. And so then conflict is very easily set up with this attachment, anger, polarity. So it's happening in, close relationships between two people, and within a family, within a society, and then in the world, between nations, between races, between religions even. So that...
When things don't go according to you, you become angry.
Haji, what's that? Who's that? Who is that?
I'm saying when things don't go according to you, I'm Divya.
हाँ हाँ बोलिए, फिर से
When
बोलिए.
things don't go according to you, when things don't go according to the person gets angry.
When things don't go according to how you want them to go, no?
Then people become angry.
Yeah, I'm very angry. First, we exaggerate the importance of the thing we want. We've already exaggerated oneself, me. There's a real me who needs this really wonderful thing or person or place or position or whatever, or particular ticket or particular seat, and we don't get it, and then we get angry. Yeah, it becomes instantly, jhatka lagta hai, as though there's something punched us in the chest. And this is so powerful because we've exaggerated. There's all this exaggeration going on through a mistaken perception of the object, a mistaken perception of who we are as well. A solid thing not getting another solid thing is a very problematic situation. Whereas it's all, you see, space-like or sky-like, if you like. In reality, that thing is changing. We are changing all the time. Even on a common sense level, if we exaggerate the importance of something, then it's not going to give us what we think it's going to give us. That's the point, And also the thing we don't want, it's not as bad as we think it is, you see. It's not like that. It doesn't exist in that manner that we think it exists in, So all around, we're making many, many mistakes. And this is causing great upset. This is making us temporarily kind of insane. We're just not seeing things clearly at all. And it's so terrifying and suffering, the way it works out in the world, doesn't it? In international affairs. I mean, it's crazy. If you look at things like war, how does war happen? I mean, I don't want to go into the history of the different wars going on in the world now, but if you look at the basic psychological situation of human beings, we want happiness, we don't want to suffer, right? So Ukrainians, Russians, Jews, Palestinians, Israelis, they all want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. So then what is causing them to fight and kill each other, with devastating consequences? It has to be something is wrong. You can't say, oh, it's because of the arms manufacturers. You can't just say that. That is, of course, a contributing factor, but it's not the main factor. If we were all enlightened, or if all of us were like Lord Buddha, none of us would be buying armaments from the arms manufacturers. Say there was a small group of people still in the world who are arms manufacturers, and the rest of us were bodhisattvas or Buddhas, we wouldn't be buying those weapons. I mean, they would quickly go out of business, those people. So we cannot blame just the arms manufacturers, although, of course, they are a huge, huge part of the problem. But they are a trigger. What causes human beings to behave like, maniacs, killing each other's children, everyone, What causes that? It has to be something, it has to be some kind of exaggeration, right? You don't drop bombs or kill people that you haven't somehow exaggerated some quality of them, right? Whether it's a crime of passion where somebody strangles or kills someone due to envy or jealousy, or whether it's people in wars dropping bombs on each other, whatever, doesn't it all come down to some kind of exaggeration? Attachment to your people, hatred, which is an exaggeration of the other, certain quality of the other. So it all comes down to this. Everything. To not being aware of certain basic things, like we mentioned in the motivation part, and not having the awareness of the spacious, ocean-like, sky-like nature of the mind, having no contact with that, being totally concerned with garbage, mental garbage, you could say, garbage aspect of the mind. It's so sad. We have everything we need to be happy and content within us. And because we are looking outside all the time and exaggerating, we are creating wars. Small wars, big wars. That is why that Zen story, which I've quoted before, but I'll quote it again, most people may have forgotten or never have heard it actually, is so important. So what was happening, this is a true life story. As you know, the Japanese attacked the American naval base in Pearl Harbor in December 1941. This was 2 years after the Second World War started. And that brought America into the Second World War. Now, around that time, just before that time, things were hotting up. There were tensions, big tensions. And there was this American practitioner wanted a visa to go to Japan, okay? Because he was a Zen practitioner of Zen meditation. And it would be very tricky to get a visa to go to Japan when there's all this tension brewing up and hostilities, on the horizon. And I can't remember, it's unlikely that he got this visa after the Pearl Harbor attack, but it could have been. But anyway, it was not a good situation between USA and Japan at that time. So anyway, he was given a visa form by the visa officer, the Japanese visa officer, right? And, as you know, I get very uncomfortable when I see any kind of form, whether it's in Bank of India or State Bank or wherever. I don't like forms. And a visa form, of course, not so nice. Nowadays, you have to answer hundreds of questions. Anyway, he didn't answer any, he just turned it over. It was blank on the other side. Very lucky, blank on the other side. What did he write on the other side? Listen very carefully to what he wrote. Very simple. See if you can understand. He wrote, making a cup of tea, I stop the war. Making a cup of tea, I stop the war. The visa officer looked at it. He approved his visa. Not only did he approve his visa, he said, welcome, we need more people like you in our country right now. True story. So do you understand that? Making a cup of tea, I stop the war. Of course, tea and tea making has a very special connotation in Japan because of their tea ceremony, so-called, which is a very mindful, slow way, precise, beautiful way of making tea and offering the tea. So do you understand that? Yeah. Yash, what does it mean?
I think even if there is one person which is with two hands less involved in war, that would be a contributing factor.
He's saying if there's one person less involved in the war, that's a contributing factor. What does it mean to make a cup of tea and stop the war? How can you stop a war by making a cup of tea? It's ridiculous. You think you go to Israel and make a cup of tea for these people, they'll stop the war? What war is he talking about, and how does it relate to war? Anyone? I know some of you know the answer. You're just being very modest and not answering. Haji?
Tea party.
Tea party. So, okay, it could be. But what do you mean by the tea party? The tea party to nahi kahenge usko. Tea ceremony. But what is the tea ceremony? Why is it important? Why is it related to, why is the visa officer so happy and saying we need more people like you in Japan? Is he upset that people have forgotten the ancient culture of the tea ceremony? I don't think it's just that. An invitation to engage in dialogue and discussion. That's an interesting one. I hadn't thought of that one, actually. I hadn't thought of that one. But that's also true. You make a cup of tea and it's a nice cup of tea, and then even your enemy might agree to sit down with you and talk. This is possible, but I don't think it's the main meaning of this. Go on. So some block I have in my head. I don't know. You must have harmed me a lot in past lives that I always forget your name. Your surname is Kapoor, right?
No, Gandhi.
Gandhi.
Apurva.
Apurva. I'm going to write it on a piece of paper and keep it under my pillow for a night. Apurva ji has said that, it's related to stopping the psychological war in the mind by engaging in what did you use words? By engaging in a ritual, respectful practice, ritual. So what does that ritual do? What does it do for the mind, that ritual?
It could be an act of service that's
Service.
Stopping the negative war.
Temporarily stopping the negative, yeah. Mind engages in a kind of a civil war, doesn't it? Should I do this? Should I do that? Always, churning. So yeah, making a cup of tea, I stop the internal war. And if I can stop the war in my mind and think clearly, clear fashion.
Maybe, while making a tea, we use a sieve, channi,
Channel. Oh, you use a sieve then?
So maybe I think what I think the person meant is like we can use a sieve to get away with the exaggeration of everything.
So the exaggeration is like the tea leaves, which are caught in the sieve. Ye keh rahe kya? A filter for the mind. We're giving all kinds of creative ideas today on Japanese tea ceremony. Good. All these things are relevant, but the visa officer got it immediately. Yeah, and he's so happy that this American guy is writing this. He said, "Welcome. We need you. We need people who are able to calm down and bring their minds to rest and with clarity and, as you say, respect and so forth, they can make a cup of tea, it means they have some access to a, so that calm, clear state of mind, which is what people need. When people are getting all hot and bothered and wanting to harm each other, this is what we need. Yeah.
That's why I love you.
That's why?
That's why I love you.
That's why Yash loves making tea for me. Okay. He's the resident volunteer. And yeah, today he didn't make tea, but yeah, sometimes he makes tea. Okay. So yeah, this I think is very important. Making a cup of tea, I stop the war. So doing my breath awareness practice, I stop the war. Engaging with a good motivation, just observing and understanding then, why this posture is important, what it signifies on some levels. That also stops the war, can begin to stop the war, the inner war, and the war being carried out, being waged by the unwholesome emotions. What are the six delusions? Anyone remember? People who've done diploma and master's program, this you can recite in your dreams. So what is it? Apurva Gandhi ji, what is if I repeat the name again, I'll remember. So what are the six delusions? Six delusions ka naam bataiye. Who is the head, chief delusion? Who controls their ignorance? Very good. Then attachment, aversion, anger. Yeah. Then pride. Yeah. Jealousy, envy. Yeah. And the last, which often is not, well, sometimes not even mentioned. The last is, anybody? Vishad bhai?
Ignorance.
Pehle aa gaya bhai sahab. That is the jhar. That is the root. Huh? It will come under pride.
Wrong views?
No, this is wrong view comes under ignorance, but deluded doubt. Deluded doubt. Actually, wrong views, you're right. Sometimes wrong views is given. You're right, I think. You're right. Wrong views also given, but deluded doubt is also one of the major delusions. Not ordinary doubt. Doubt can be very creative and useful initially. Deluded doubt is when again and again one just cannot, one is constantly, doubting whether karma exists or not, and all these, basic things that one should begin to understand, just denying them or doubting them. So there's deluded doubt. Yeah. So ignorance, anger, attachment, of course, are the three poisons, the three main ones. And then pride, envy. Maybe envy is not always there. Maybe Ajirji, are you there?
Yeah.
Is envy one of the basic delusions in the category of...
Yeah, normally they put it pride, jealousy.
Yeah, they have jealousy.
That is how the word. Yeah.
They are separate or they are put together? I think they're separate.
No, they're separate. I'm saying that pride, jealousy, some people they put it as wrong view, and some put it as you put it like the deluded view.
Deluded
it depends on the translation.
I see.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah, good. So these factors are creating the civil war in the mind, are creating all the mischief, which is why it is so terribly wearisome and saddening when people are seeing the enemy only outside, whereas the main enemy is in the mind. People have just not, it just doesn't even enter their minds that this is the case. I haven't heard on the world stage for a long time any politician say anything like, oh, people want to be happy, don't want to suffer. It's the same for them, it's the same for us. I haven't heard any politician say that, any leader say that. Last time I heard something heartening, very heartening, was a clip my brother sent me of Bernie Sanders, who was an American Democrat. who was standing against Hillary Clinton to be the Democratic nominee for president. He was asked, "What's the most important thing in politics?" And he immediately answered, "Compassion." Can you imagine a politician saying that? Compassion. I was very impressed. And I have another. I think people may not believe me, and one of my claims to almost fame is Bernie Sanders, this famous American senator. His elder brother, anyway, his brother was my landlord at university in England. So when I went to America in 1979, I stayed with Bernie Sanders. Anyway, how about that? Huh? Larry said, "Go and stay with my brother."
Wow.
That time he wasn't famous. He was, I guess, in politics, but he wasn't yet any big shot. So I stayed and played basketball with him and his son in Burlington, Vermont. So I was really hoping he would become president. Then I'd walk into the Oval Office and say, "I met you in 1979." And he'd say, "Who the hell are you?" And the security kick me out. Anyway, I would go have
Modi,
brother and
Modi would immediately take you as his advisor.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be good. Yeah.
Huh?
So anyway, compassion. These people are suffering like us. Koi nahi bolta. Nobody says it. It's so pathetic. People's minds are in another direction. When you hear what politicians are saying, it's just absurd. Got to get rid of people, destroy them.
I think to use this word compassion,
yeah,
in the Western environment, I think it's really appreciable.
Yeah.
David Richardson.
I can't see
His
your head.
Holiness.
I can see your mouth, but
can't-
nothing else. You have to adjust your camera. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
अब देख रहे हैं.
So Richardson met His Holiness in 2004, and His Holiness advised him to undertake research on the compassion.
Richard
And he
Davidson.
said that Richard Davidson, and he said that it took him almost 4 years to bring this word in the literature there. He said that he actually used this word in 2008, though His Holiness advised him in 2004. So I think anyone who is using this word Davidson in the Western environment, I think it's a really appreciable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, of course, the bodhicitta very often is translated as a compassion. I'm not very sure whether this compassion captures the whole dimension, the meaning of bodhicitta.
Of course.
When it is said that, may I awaken, may I be Buddha so that I can take care of the sentient beings. I think the compassion doesn't really bring that depth.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't take responsibility necessarily like that. Yeah.
Exactly. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So I think bodhicitta has that dimension, which I felt compassion is not bringing out that. But nevertheless, I think to use this word in the Western world, whosoever is using is highly appreciable.
They are. I agree with you completely. Were you here when, do you remember, were you here when Situ Rinpoche ji was teaching maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago here at Tushita? And he gave his definition of bodhicitta. And that was the first time I heard it. He heard his definition, which was, may I become a Buddha in order to lead all sentient beings to the state of Buddha, not just to benefit them, care for them, but may I become a Buddha in order to lead everyone to Buddhahood. I said, wow, that's really something.
Yeah.
Not just to benefit them, guide them.
Yeah.
To make sure they all get to become Buddha also. So yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, you're right. It's much more.
And here, I think exactly. I think here, when they are saying all, it is not necessarily the human beings of the earthly planet. It's really the beings of the 6 realms, which is so encompassing.
Yeah. Yeah, one just has to go out into the street and you can feel compassion for, somebody begging or somebody, whatever. But yeah, to then say, look, I'm going to get enlightened and save all these people. I mean, I'm committed to, I'm going to be responsible to help them all. That is a mind-blowing state of mind, So almost impossible to conceive even right now, But yeah, they say that it can be achieved through training. Yeah. Any feedback, comments on what we've looked at so far? It's revision for most of you, but I think revision can be good. It's good to revise. Good to have booster shots, booster. Good to brush our teeth every day. That kind of thing. Because all kinds of, we get all stuff coming in, yeah, from the world, from media, from our thoughts, and we can begin to, we get affected by it. We get affected by media, we get affected by our thoughts, by other people, and a lot of it is not that useful, let's be honest, So we need to be reminded of these teachings of Lord Buddha and the power of the delusions to totally shape our lives in an unwholesome way, so that we become, as Shantideva said, our own enemy, But we want happiness. Keep on buying into especially attachment, because attachment is very sneaky, as we know, right? It's almost as though it's coming up and whispering to us that, look, I know what you need to be happy. I'll make you happy, I know what will make you happy. Do this, do that. And of course, we're not saying we shouldn't have happiness, pleasure, even of a worldly kind. We're not saying that, but we exaggerate now. We exaggerate the capacity of the object to give us what we want, and it can't give us lasting satisfaction. If all we want is temporary pleasure, then of course it can give. Many objects, even a warm shower on a cold day, can give us pleasure. But if we're talking about lasting satisfaction, that's another matter. Some kind of joy or lasting happiness or satisfaction. Although it's just suffering of change, isn't it? Everything we think is pleasurable is just the suffering of change. Yeah. Okay, I want to quote Lama Zopa Rinpoche on this. He has a chapter in his early book, Door to Satisfaction, where he's talking about cutting off desire. Cutting off desire. And I'll read some of it. It's useful. It's quite radical in the sense that, Lama Zopa Rinpoche didn't mince his words, as they say. He didn't pull his punches. When he gave a Dharma punch, he gave the full punch, kind of knocks us out as that potential. The beginning of this chapter, there's 5 words, is the quote at the beginning of the chapter. Less desire means less pain. How about that? Now that is something which really is very against the flow of our normal life and what we want out of life. We have so many desires, especially you open the newspapers now in Delhi. Last few days, we have the Festival of Lights, Diwali. Yeah, all these things you can buy, maybe reduced price, and everything else. Everyone is asking us to enjoy, to buy this, that, and the other, So less desire means less pain. For sure, maybe less desire means less expenditure, which is very useful if we're not a very rich person. But it means much more than that, doesn't it? Less desire means less pain. So attachment, desire, here we can say, Rinpoche is talking of attachment. He's not talking of the desire to help others so much, or the desire to be enlightened. He's talking about ordinary worldly desires. And he says that not following our desire is practicing the dharma, And following desire is not practicing Dharma. It's as simple as that. Not following desire is practicing the Dharma. Following desire is not practicing Dharma. It's as simple as that. Of course, there are nuances, but that's the main thing. So the whole point of the teachings is saying, especially these teachings he was giving on the very ascetic practitioners of Tibet, the Kadampa Lamas, whose practice was direct sort of antidote to the 8 worldly feelings. He's talking about their practice. You have to cut off, we have to cut off the 8 worldly feelings, the 8 worldly dharmas, and be free of desire clinging to this life. Whether you're practicing the teachings or not, the unwholesome thought of the 8 worldly feelings, 8 worldly dharmas, so-called, is the source of all obstacles and problems. Everything undesirable comes from the thought of the 8 worldly dharmas. Everything undesirable. What are the 8 worldly dharmas? Anybody remember? No? Pleasure and pain, yeah. And what about pleasure and pain? Wanting pleasure, not wanting pain, yeah. Then wanting gain, yeah. Wanting gain, not wanting loss of any kind, yeah. Then wanting good reputation, not wanting bad reputation. And the last is always difficult. Anyone? Anybody help out? She's got 6 of them. There are 2 left, which also very
Wanting praise, Kabirji, not wanting blame.
Thank you, Vishal Bhai. Wanting praise, not wanting blame. So these 8, if we look at them honestly, they are dominating our life. We don't want to be blamed. We want praise. Think about how much we need the reassurance of our society, of our family members. Even if we feel what they're doing is against our principles, even, we often agree to them because we don't want them to blame us. We want them to praise us, to be on, we don't want to upset anyone, even though sometimes we know what they are doing or what they want us to do is not that great. It's more beneficial what one wants to do, but they want us to do something else, and we want their praise and want to be a good reputation in the family, so we do what they say. So or do what society says, which could then really ruin our life, actually. So I'll read a little bit from Rinpoche. So he says, object itself is not the problem, right? Object itself, anything, is not the problem. Having wealth is not the problem. So what is the problem? Having a friend is not the problem. So anyway, what is the problem? The problem is the mind desiring and clinging to wealth. That is the problem. Having a friend is not the problem. The mind clinging to the friend makes having a friend a problem. Desire makes these 4 things: material things, comfort, pleasant sounds, praise, a problem. Desire makes them. In themselves, they're not a problem. Why would pleasure or praise or anything be a problem in itself? It's okay, but the mind is twisting it now, exaggerating one way or another. Yeah. You might be sleeping comfortably one night when suddenly your sleep is disturbed by a mosquito biting you. So if you have strong worldly concern, a strong desire for comfort, you'll be very annoyed at being bitten by the mosquito, just being bitten, just one mosquito. It's, of course, one might have to adapt this. Rinpoche says next, it's nothing dangerous, nothing that can cause any serious disease. The mosquito just takes a tiny, tiny drop of blood from your body. But seeing that mosquito's body filled with your own blood, you get shocked. You become angry at the mosquito, are upset all night. You become, on the next day, you complain about the mosquito all day long. I couldn't sleep for hours last night. Losing sleep for one night or even a few hours is like losing a precious jewel. You're as upset as somebody who's lost $1 million. For some people, even such a small problem becomes huge. Then there are also people who desire so much to be praised and respected by others. If you ignore such people and walk past them with your nose in the air, or say just one or two words disrespectfully, something that they don't expect to hear, it causes great pain in their minds. Or if you give them something in a disrespectful manner, whether purposely or not, again, there's great pain. For such people with so much expectation, so much clinging, the pain from even a small physical action that they dislike is great. It feels like an arrow has been shot into their hearts. Suddenly, anger can arise suddenly. Their body becomes very tense. Their face, relaxed and peaceful before, now becomes kind of terrifying, swollen, tight, ears and nose turning red, veins standing out on their forehead. Suddenly their whole character becomes very rough and unpleasant. We see that. You can have most beautiful, someone who's considered the very most beautiful or handsome conventionally, their faces may be on the front of magazines. But we can be sure that when they're angry, there's someone who has a lot of anger, their face becomes horrible while they're angry. Horrible. Terrifying. So yeah, these 8 worldly feelings are very, very destructive. They are the cause of our pain. They're the cause of suffering again and again. The one about comfort, in other words, wanting pleasure and all, it's about comfort. That is a very big one. There can be something slightly wrong in your hotel room, and it really becomes a big problem for you. For us, something small, not right, here or there, something not working, wherever, or yeah, mosquito coming in. You might say mosquito can give you dengue or malaria. It's true, but we do make such a fuss, big fuss. So we're uptight. That word again. 8 worldly feelings make us very uptight, wanting what we consider the good side, not wanting. It makes us tense inside. And you see it on people's faces. How many relaxed faces have you seen around you? Maybe just babies, baby faces, or good actors or actresses in adverts. They're so happy they got the newest fridge or, air conditioner. They look very relaxed and happy. But how many people in the street have you seen relaxed, happy, gentle, happy face? You won't see many. Not here, maybe in the Pure Land. Maybe during a festival, there may be. I don't know. I always feel, well, anyway, yeah. So, uptight, we're uptight. Yeah. And if we're uptight, everything, every little thing can become a problem. And every little thing we want to chase after to bring some satisfaction. Every small thing somebody does in the way we don't like becomes an issue, whether it's while you're making food in the kitchen or setting up the table, everything becomes a little bit problematic, a cause of tension. Okay, this is my observation, maybe I'm wrong. You have to check. These are the words of the gurus and the Buddhas. We have to check, like the Buddha said, check if it's correct or not. If you don't think it's correct, don't accept it. Yeah. So desire keeps us awake at night, keeps us, uptight during the day. And of course, anger does that too. Of course, we're really angry at somebody, but somehow attachment is more pervasive. Have you noticed that? You can't be angry for too long, it's just too exhausting. But you can be attached for a long time. Which is why when the lamas teach about attachment, they say it's like oil in a cloth. It's harder to get out, whereas anger is like ordinary dirt. destructive, but it can, but attachment is like oil. It seeps into the cloth and it's hard to wash out. So attachment seeps into our mind and makes us feel that I'm your best friend. Anger can also appear as one's best friend. If one wants vengeance, revenge, then anger comes as your best friend. You must get back at this person. So you feel anger is helping you. But desire, very much so. I'll make you happy. You need this, you want that. Yeah. And then these become habitual patterns, you see. Life to life, we behave in this way. Of course, it's going to become something habitual. It's not hard to behave like that anymore. Why can't we all sit and meditate 6-7 hours a day? Why can't we all be so, relaxed and generous and so forth? Well, because we've been habituated to other things, life to life. We're not habituated to being calm, serene, meditators who see the mind as like an ocean or like space. We haven't been habituated. We can be, but we haven't so far, most of us. So everything is eight worldly feelings. That's what we are habituated to. That's carrying on. And that's making us miserable. And intellectually, even we can accept it's making us miserable, but it's very hard to change the pattern, isn't it? It's one thing to be told, okay, you have cancer, you have heart disease. That's good, we know, but it doesn't do anything yet, does it? It doesn't get rid of the cancer or heart disease just by thinking about it, knowing. So we have to practice, don't we? We have to really think about disadvantages of desire, of the eight worldly feelings. Yeah, we have to think about how right now we can think about it. Tomorrow we may be sick or dead. So we have the time now. Why aren't we using it? Have we forgotten that we're going to die? Most days we do. We don't think about death. We may read about death or see death on the screens, but we don't think about my death. It's unpleasant, right? Some households, it's very bad manners to mention death. So we just keep on living according to the eight worldly feelings. Slightest thing that annoys us or causes discomfort is a big deal. We exaggerate it. Well, it's 8 o'clock. I feel like a therapist only give you an hour. 1.5 घंटा दे दिया. Much lower wages than psychotherapist. और ये तो बुद्ध वचन है जो मैं अपने तरीके से बता रहा हूँ. Should be very highly paid, but it's not. Anyway, you should all be happy that you got such a good deal. Of course, donation boxes of Tushita. And no donation boxes where all of you are. So fortunate. I guess there is Google Pay and other things which you folks know about. I don't know much about Google Pay. Anyway, I'm joking. It's good that one can spend time and investigate the Buddha's teachings. Because, as I said, most of the day we are doing other things and may forget certain things. It's good to remember, even though this is very basic. You see, if we forget to brush our teeth, it's very basic, yeah. But if we forget to brush our teeth, our breath might start stinking, and then, the plaque builds up. So even a simple thing like brushing teeth is important to remember. So this is, it's even more important to remember the eight worldly feelings and how they dominate our life. Don't you think? Am I being unreasonable? Is Lama Zopa Rinpoche being unreasonable with those dramatic statements at the beginning of the chapter? Is he being unkind? Yeah, I'll say he's being unkind, actually, saying that. Less desire means less pain. That's unkind. Right? What do you think, Yash? Yash is wearing a very interesting apparel.
Huh?
So, can you come close? Can you see this? Yash, our volunteer, is wearing this, so I think he wears it to make people happy. Isn't it nice? It's yeah. But otherwise, no other vestments like that. No T-shirts with slogans here. Sometimes you get very interesting slogans on T-shirts being worn by people in Bihar who have no idea what it says. So I often stop and tell them what it says, and they're quite interested. But I should take photos of all of them. Some of them are really good. Great T-shirts with great phrases. I can't remember offhand now. And I explain to them what it means. And they kind of, sorry, you were, I asked you something and then I interrupted you.
You asked if whether
is he being unkind, Rinpoche? With that statement, less desire means less pain.
he's being realistic.
Realistic? Who's realist? Whose realism? Yours and mine? Is it realistic? Can we realistically do that? Can a society function realistically if we say, okay, you know, forget the advertising, the consumerism, have less desire, buy less, enjoy more, you know, just be very simple, simple lives, read Gandhiji, etc. You know, are people gonna practice it? In future, it may be. I agree with you. In the future, it may be. In the future, we may have to do that because resources are running out. Yeah. Although it's staggering to go into shops or in the market, there's just so much stuff. And you say, it's like I often wonder, where's all this stuff coming from? How can the land still be so productive? When I walking the market in Bodh Gaya, and so many fresh vegetables all over the place. Yeah, kahan se aa raha hai, you know? Amazing. Not only the effort of the farmers, but where's such a vast amount of produce in the shops are filled. And then you wonder, where is all this wrapping paper and everything is virtually packed, you know, wrapped. It's like staggering. Anyway, less desire means less pain. We can think about that because it means that more desire means more pain. You see, don't forget that one. More desire means more pain. But we shouldn't let this depress us because less desire can not only mean less pain if we do it properly, but then there can be more joy in life when we are not caught up with this uptight wanting. Our natural great peace is unloved. Our natural goodness can be released. When we don't have this yo-yo mind, wanting, not wanting. Don't you think? There's a natural relaxation can come. Contentment, even joy. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pity our lives become so complex because we forget the basic things, which can give a lot of joy. Like taking time to appreciate a sight, a sound, a breath of, you know, some wind, a face, whatever, a poem, something you enjoy reading or listening to, doing it properly, attentively, can give us a lot of calm satisfaction, even joy. But the sticky, grasping, clinging mind, that is the opposite. It's like having a closed fist all the time, wanting, grasping. That image of the monkey, how they caught monkeys by, you know, making the cage entry big enough to put your hand in, but if you grasp the thing inside, you won't be able to take your hand out. It's not enough space. So the monkey grasps the banana or something inside the cage, doesn't want to let go, and the hand won't come out. So it gets caught by whoever, the hunter or whatever. So we're like that. We keep on having this clenched fist of a mind. which I know from experience is so uncomfortable, right? You don't have to be angry to be uncomfortable. You can have a lot of this wanting. It's so uncomfortable. Yeah. Anyway, let's dedicate. Thank you very much for your patience, all of you. The 1, 2, 3, 10 people who's still here with us. So kind. Hold on. Naveenji wants something. You can. Yeah, we can. That's a good idea to chant the names of Manjushri in tomorrow's session, since it's Tuesday. And as I well know, it is recommended for Lama Zopa Rinpoche's swift return. Very good. Yeah. Yes, both gaya, Lord Care, they have so much practice these people are doing. These new students, they're practicing. It's wonderful. So Naveenji has just come back from Bodh Gaya, and anyway, the upstanding individual, so is asking us to do a text, read a text tomorrow, which is recommended, that we hasten the unmistaken return of unmistaken reincarnation of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So yeah, I'll check if we have copies. We'll get it photocopied, and it'll be there online for people who, for tomorrow's session, we can spend part of it reciting that. Good idea. Thank you, Naveenji. See what happens when you're not in Delhi. Fresh air of Kochi. Yeah. When are you coming back to Delhi?
On the 30th, Kabirji.
Oh, I'm leaving on the 30th. So I'll have to arrange a quick transfer of cake at New Delhi railway station.
I'll check the timings and then we'll figure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dedicate that we take to heart some of these teachings, meaning that we reflect on them a little bit. Don't just consign them to the dustbin of the mind, you know, in my case, in one ear, out the other. Not like that. Try and retain it for a while so that the meaning of it becomes clear. So see what Rinpoche is saying. Why is he saying that? Why are the 8 worldly dharmas so deadly? What is the definition of attachment and anger? Why is that important to know the definition? How do they cause pain? These unwholesome mental factors. And then we get more of an idea of how we are, you know, sabotaging our own happiness. And we can take, you know, take measures to reduce that, create the opposite. So may that happen. May we never be separated from pure, precious, authentic dharma, and may the teachers, all the holy teachers, have long and healthy lives. May all their wishes be fulfilled. May the dharma remain in this universe for a very long time, and be you know, benefit beings, and may there always be someone who can interpret it for us and teach us through their own understanding. May all the wars, and the famine, and the disease in the world end as quickly as possible, and all the dreadfully suffering people find some relief. Now, may the leaders have more common sense and kindness and compassion, and not create such terrible causes for present and future people suffering. May we never be separated from you know, the spiritual path, from the Sangha, fellow practitioners. May all the centers flourish, all that is needed for the growth and maintenance of the centers. The FPMT Mandala may happen. Resources, people, and other resources always be available. Tushita, Delhi especially, and also the projects in India, Bangalore, Bodh Gaya, Dharamsala, Kushinagar, may they flourish. Then, especially we dedicate for our late La Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, to reincarnate quickly so that he can again guide us in the Dharma with his impeccable example, his bodhicitta actions, bodhisattva actions. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama have long and healthy life, all his holy wishes be fulfilled. Likewise with the other good kings. Bodhicitta be born in our minds as quickly as possible. If not decline, if it has been generated, or it hasn't, may it arise and grow. Thank you all very, very much for your patience. Our friends from Latvia and Mexico and everybody else. Very kind of you to remain with us. Have a good evening, and please, hope we can all find the causes of true happiness together, and help people, help the world as much as we can. Thank you, and thank you to everyone here at Tushita. Very kind of you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kabir.
So,